Good morning. This is Andy Furman, Chair of the North Andover Youth and Recreation Council, convening the meeting on Thursday, October 29th at 8:15 a.m. Before we get with the roll call, I will read the governor's statement. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A-18, and the governor's March 1st, 2020 order imposing strict limitation of the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Youth and Recreation Council will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.northandoverma.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so on their televisions by tuning to Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 26, or online at www.northandoverham.org. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of North Andover website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Please send comments, topic related, to Demi Marsh at dmarsh@nayouth.com, which will be read during the meeting. So at this point, I will take a quick roll call of members in attendance. Kevin Driscoll is not in attendance. Peter Breen, are you on? Dan Moore?
I'm on. Morning.
Morning. John?
I'm on. Good morning.
Morning. Holly Williams?
Present. Good morning.
Morning. Jenna Sidori?
I'm here. Good morning.
Morning. Larry Allen? Larry, I'm pretty sure I see you, Larry. I don't hear you, but I do see you, so we'll mark you present. Good morning, Larry. Terry Holland?
I'm here.
Morning. Rick Gorman?
Present.
Demi Moore? Demi Marsh?
Present.
I'm sorry about that, Demi. And D. Casey, we have on from the town as well. I also want to briefly just thank NACAM for getting up early in the morning and helping us out with this morning. So at this point, I will call to order the meeting. We do have a light agenda, but we do have some heavy items on the agenda. First item on the agenda, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from our September meeting.
This is Jonathan. I make a motion to approve the meetings from the September meeting.
And this is Holly, and I second that motion.
Okay. Do we need any discussion? I don't think so. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Rick, we have the holiday drive on the agenda first. Do you want to take that, or do you want to go out of order and go straight to the grant?
No, the holiday drive, just give a brief update to everybody. Molly and Asia are working very hard on our Thanksgiving drive. Things are well underway. We have all the turkeys purchased. Thank you to Terry Holland. He was on top of this beginning. I guess there could possibly be a turkey shortage this year due to a lot of restaurants not operating. So we're actually able to place the order, which Terry was able to get it distributed to get us turkeys. So with some donations from the community, most specifically two groups, we're actually able to purchase the turkeys. We're working with community groups, private citizens, anyone else that's interested in donating all of the fixings that are going with it. Even though school is kind of funky this year, there are a few schools that are actually continuing to be involved with us on this. So we're pretty excited. We're in the process of getting confirmation from all of the families that need it. Does look like our numbers will be up a little bit this year. Could be related to everything, obviously, the pandemic, but we're going to be able to service all of the people that we need to service. The only difference this year is there will not be a delivery It'll be a pickup day at the youth center on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, which we will be obviously already boxed all the dinners, and then Terry is storing the turkeys at his place to pick them up. And then in a 4-hour window on that Sunday, families will come in and pick up their dinners. We're going to do a scheduled time on that to obviously limit how many families are coming to the youth center at any given time, or whatever. So I'm very pleased with the effort. Obviously, we're still a month out, but Asia and Molly are doing really well. Obviously, Molly does not technically work for us. She's a guidance counselor at Lawrence High. She's working remotely from home, but we have probably seen her more this year to drive. And obviously, Asia's our person on site dealing with phone calls that come in from residents. So very pleased. And then just the back end of that is that we've already started soliciting for our holiday Christmas drive. And obviously, we'll go a lot more into that as we get into mid-November. But overall, things are going well. We will obviously document everything that we're doing. And again, it'll mark year number 30, both drives.
Congratulations on 30 years, and thank you to Stachys for the donation. Truly appreciate that. Any questions on the holiday drive?
And Asia's been working with Molly on this for years now, right? So Asia should, like, this should be, I mean, I'm anticipating our biggest year yet, but we probably have the two best people in Molly and Asia running it, because Asia, I know, has been an integral part in the years past, right? So we should be.
Asia's had a minor role in the past, but she understands the process. She's been trained since she started here with myself and Molly. I have complete faith in both of them. The Christmas drive is more of a, obviously Molly and Asia will be the lead dogs, but Demi, Kyle, Lauren, myself, others will be involved with that. So again, least of my worries in a global pandemic is our holiday drives.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments? All right, so we'll move on to the grant request. Hopefully everyone did have a chance to review that. I did not receive any questions ahead of the meeting on that. For those of you, you'll recall, we typically have in the past done this in the spring. Last year, we started going forward with the grant request to the Joseph N. Herman Board, the private nonprofit board that we make this request to. We started this in the fall of last year. So Rick, why don't I just open it up for you, and any comments that you want to make on any of the requests?
Okay, so let me just give a little history in terms of how this goes and what this board's role is. The interesting case is Holly, who sits on both boards, who should refrain from doing any vote today. Her vote should be with the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center, Inc. I definitely Holly can weigh in, but her vote is more with her role. Remember, she sits on this board as a guest as representing the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center. So this board, this council is supposed to review every year the request that our department has put in. Cannot go to Holly's board until this council signs off an agreement, and that's why we'll have a healthy discussion on things. These are items that the town would probably be unable to pay for, or would not be a priority for the town to pay for. This is things that, are outside. I don't want to call them fluff activities or fluff programs or extra things, but it's things that we probably cannot pay for, or I know we can't pay for our operating budget. And the reality is, when the town is dealing with a certain budget, a priority of like maybe a new air hockey game would not be something the town would make extra resources for, and would basically say you gotta kind of work this through your budget or fundraising activities. So the role of this board, unlike Holly's board, I will be happy to entertain any questions philosophically on different things, but this council is not voting on the expenditures that would take place. Obviously, the Joseph Herman nonprofit, which is the ones that would fund it, would be the ones probably grilling me on cost, the amount, priorities, and things like that. So this is more of a healthy conversation to keep you all in the loop. And if I can answer anything, this is put together by our staff as the 4 or 5, obviously the 5 people that know what we need more than anybody else knows that we need. So with that said, I'd like to get started. Before I do that, any question on what I just said in terms of process and everything else?
Yeah,
Holly,
Rick,
do you want to add anything, Holly, in terms of your role as the representative from JNHYC?
No, other than I was voted on this board by the selectmen. I was actually on this board first, so I don't view myself as a guest on this board. But I usually do refrain. And I think the stuff that was put forward this year were really great items for programming and equipment. So I think it was really great stuff.
So with that said, Andy, I'll go through it. I would like to go through each portion. So there are actually in the index, as you noticed, kind of 3 areas we're focusing on. I'll go through each area and then take any questions or any clarification that people might need. So the first part of the index is what we consider programming requests. And these are things that we would like to enhance what we're doing right now. And we believe these are programs that are not necessarily programs that we've run before, but that we would like to try. And it's not just the staff's opinions on this. We bring kids' input onto this, as well, obviously, as the users of the youth center, they know what we're looking for. We obviously look at pockets of areas that we might not be meeting absolute need on. And through the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center over the last many years, is we have actually started over 15 new programs because of the funding. And the ultimate goal is that the funding, whether it's a short-term program or more of a long-term program, the long-term programs end up getting assimilated into our budget. As we, obviously every year decide what our priorities are going to be programmatically. So it's been a really good thing. Probably, some of the greatest things that have come from this are the MVP mentoring program, as well as some of our community service programs. And we're in the year 4 of our MVP program and not relying on the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center anymore. It's obviously assimilated in our budget. So that kind of gives you a ballpark. So in terms of the programming, we are in need of more programming during the winter. Now, pre-pandemic, obviously, as it gets snowy and cold, kids tend to be less outside and more using the building. This year causes us a bit of a problem due to regulations and using indoor space. So we have been all fall using our outdoor grounds, and this is a perfect week to explain the headaches that go with it. We haven't had to postpone many programs, but yesterday we had a washout of a couple of programs. So it is working in the pandemic. So the first program we're looking to do is to start a snowshoeing program, which is something that we experimented in the past. And it's something that the kids are very interested in. We have wonderful areas in North Andover to go snowshoeing. Obviously, all of our trails. We have Harrow Park State Forest and everything else. So we're putting a small request in for $2,020, which will allow us to purchase snowshoes so we can use programmatically. But similar to how we use our skating rink, kids will be able to also access the snowshoes outside of our program as maybe even an everyday activity during obviously the snowy months. So we're very excited about that. The grant is specifically for equipment based. Our staff will actually be doing this. Lauren will be the lead dog on this. So we're excited about that. Um, Her story in the making is a request for $2,390. This was a program that Asia and I sat down and kind of designed. We are looking to continue our process of getting more females involved with that program. Demi did some really good analytics, and it's better than I thought it was. It was more on the 60-40 range in terms of male versus female at the youth center. In a perfect world, I'd love to get to more of a 50-50. And that's why we're trying to design programs that girls might be interested in. This is actually going to be a girls leadership program for late middle school, early high school, where we are going to access a lot of strong female role models within our community, within our region. We've obviously talked to our legislative group that wants to be involved. The goal is to take groups of girls to meet and kind of brainstorm with successful women in business, industry, government, um, and to kind of show girls that there are amazing opportunities to do that. And we are also looking to do some team building with that with the girls. Um, I love her title of her story in the making. And again, I think this is a very well used use of the money. Asia will be the lead person. We will also have one of our part-time female high school or college kids work with the program. And obviously, if you look at it in terms of some resources that we're looking to buy, some staffing costs, and obviously some leadership training, that makes up to 2,390. Break the Stigma is a request for $2,000. I thought of Holly when we were designing the grant. Whenever, and I say this with all kinds of love to Holly, but whenever we design a new girls program, Holly wants to know if we could do something for boys also. And we're trying to, continue to offer both. Although I explained my percentages of what I'm looking to do. Break the Stigma will be a boys related program, which will look at, truly taking a look at boys in general, some of the misconceptions of being a young man, some of the things that we think, oh, guys shouldn't be emotional and shouldn't be doing this. It's going to have everything to do with self-confidence and self-motivation, life skills, um, working on embracing some of their weaknesses or whatever. Obviously, the money is going to be related to a lot of the costs that we want to buy and some reading material. This is kind of an offshoot of a program that the Joseph and Herman funded as a one-timer 3 years ago, which was a more of a boys program. We experimented with it. I think there's people that were on the committee at this point know I wasn't real happy with how the first one went. It went, and I'm obviously a stickler. I would have liked to have seen the impact a little bit more. So this is kind of an upgrade, a reinvention of the program. And I kind of really like Kyle is very excited about this opportunity. He professionally, we're looking to break him out of just being known as the guy that the kids know in the gym and some social activities. So there'll be some training going on with Kyle, but again, a program that I really like. And our old friend Sean Brown, who basically helped us design a little bit of the past stuff. He is a former Merrimack College basketball player, and I've known him for years, and he runs probably the greatest boys empowerment program in the state, recognized by the governor, regionally and nationally now. He has offered to come at a very cheap price, kind of do some training with us and the kids. So I'm very excited about that. And then the last one was a program that we are looking to, and this was a request from feedback from parents, from kids, to start to take a look at doing some things outside the box in terms of a financial literacy program. So we put things into place, and I'm going to have Demi explain this a little bit. But this is actually going to be an in-kind. I'm just kind of showing you the work that went into this, but this is going to be something that we're not requesting any money due to the great support of a local resident. So Demi, you want to talk a little bit about Rich and the financial literacy program?
Sure. So this is a program. It's going to be 5 weeks, one night a week for high schoolers, and it's going to teach them kind of basic money management stuff that I don't think they really will learn in school. And we contacted Rich Rosenthal, who has kids who's worked for us, and he works in the finance industry, and he's willing to teach this program free of charge, and also he's able to get a free curriculum to use as well. So there's not actually a financial cost for this one, but we did want to include it just because it's a new program we're excited about.
And I also wanted to show the committee that we are not just trying to drain the Joseph N. Herman of resources and ability to fund things. We're trying to really look at ways that we can fund programs within our operating budget, as well as obviously looking at something like this. This was something that we were planning was probably going to be a $3,000 to $5,000 request. In meeting with Rich and his willingness to give his free time. That's someone's back. I think that's you, Andy.
I think it's Andy because he just went offline.
Okay. So I just wanted to give you an update that. So with that said, I would like to open up to any questions regarding the programming requests.
So I don't have any questions. I think they're awesome. I love the snowshoeing. I love the outdoor activity. I think it's awesome. I love the girls one with the empowerment. I actually was writing down some names of women in town that I know work that are in pretty great positions that have all different sorts of backgrounds, like scientists and working in public transportation to kind of give a different spiel, you know what I mean, in terms of different fields, if you will, and entrepreneurs. So I'll touch base with you, Demi, take them, leave them, whatever you want to do, just people I know in town. Break the Stigma, I think is awesome. It's exactly what I thought, Rick, in terms of it's that program you tried to do for boys with 2.0. And I love that there's speakers coming in. And I think Beans is in a better position now to teach that. And I think it's, or to lead that group. I shouldn't say teach that group, but lead that group, if you will. And I think it's a totally evolved program and will be super impactful. And thank you for thinking of the boys. And I love the financial literacy. As you know, I had mentioned that in another meeting about, bringing some financial stuff to the kids. So I think they're all awesome. Awesome.
So, Rick, I'd like to just say all of them sound great to me, but more importantly, I like the way you keep trying to find new things, and you don't let things go stale. You keep looking for the new program that's going to keep up with things, and we evaluate and drop programs maybe here and there. And I love the way you guys just keep staying at it and changing it. That's great.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Terry, because I think the downfall, and if I was teaching any young people in my field, the biggest mistake people make organizationally is to just regurgitate the same programs year in and year out. It is a death knell for your program and surviving. Now, obviously, we have a ton of programs that continue every year. Summer Fun is not going anywhere, but I'm smart enough to know, into Holly's case, that the first attempt at the boys empowerment program was really scratching the surface. I agree. We did it with Kyle when he first started here. Probably not the best time for him to do it. But I just think that we got to keep looking at, is there something for everybody at the youth center? And in this day and age of the pandemic, it was a priority even more. And I think the best thing that Demi and I hear on social media is you guys offer something for everybody.
I couldn't agree more and echo Terry's sentiments. It's great that we keep creating, or you guys keep, I shouldn't say we, you guys keep thinking of new things to keep it interesting and attracting new people.
Other questions? Hearing none, Andy, I'll go into the second part, which is equipment requests. Now, when you hear of the equipment requests, and obviously you've looked at this, you got to take, these are things that definitely, if I was to talk to Dee and Melissa, I don't think they would have an issue with anything that I have on this, but it would be things that you'd have to try to figure out in your operating budget, right? And obviously, our operating budget is pretty tight, down to basically, our membership, our phone and things like that. We don't have a ton of money because our revolving account is predominantly our part-time staffing. And obviously in the pandemic, we've got to be very careful of that. So keep that in mind with this. The first request of $1,508 is to enhance our BEATS program, which this is a program that was initially funded by the Joseph N. Herman, which has taken a life of its own. This is one of Demi's.
By the state grant.
We got the state grant. This was, yeah, right. This was with Diana DeZoglio and the state grant. And the reality was that we were looking to find stuff that we weren't doing already. So the BEATS program has been going on for some time now. We have a great instructor. We have 3 sessions of the BEATS program being run this fall alone. I see 3 sessions in the winter, 3 sessions in the spring also. The BEATS equipment will allow us to have more kids in the program with some more equipment and some more updated equipment. To me, this is a no-brainer. This is a program I think is only scratching the surface. And once we do the expansion of the building and create the music room, I think this program just goes to a whole different level. The second one is out at our ropes course. And I think at this point, everyone, even new people, know that we run a very good challenge course for almost 30 years in Town Farm. And the zip line is the activity that everybody wants to go on. Due to some tree damage, we have to relocate the zip line. So we have been out without the zip line for almost a year and a half now, which is disappointing to the kids. If you've never been on a zip line, on the ropes course, it's the most exciting thing. 50 feet in the air, and then you kind of ride a cable, down 150 yards or whatever. So we're looking to relocate and upgrade the zip line at a cost of $2,650. Nintendo Switches. Demi, do you want to talk a little bit about this? Is a kid generated request.
Yeah, so this would just be an additional gaming option for the kids who come to hang out upstairs. We've had a lot of kids over the years bring their own and they play it. And it's been kind of a thing that a lot of other kids will watch them play, ask if they can have a turn. But these are these kids' own devices that they're bringing in. So we were looking to have our own as an additional option for the kids to use when they're in the game room.
So that's in a cost of $1,272. The next one, and Joseph N. Herman doesn't like to regurgitate any requests, and I'll passionately explain why I'm coming for $500 for the second year in a row. So the portable speaker, and if I'm correct, probably Holly even asked us if we needed more than one last year, but we bought a portable speaker, which is Bluetooth generated, where kids can play their music. So we have one that has been a major success through the end of the summer and the fall. The problem is, with all of our cohorts spread out, every day a different group kind of gets the portable speaker. And people kind of fight to get the portable speaker. So we don't think we need a portable speaker for every program we do, but we would like a second portable speaker. It has actually been pretty much of a godsend in these times. That's short money at $500. The game room, we do need to upgrade, and the Joseph N. Herman over the years has upgraded almost every piece. Our existing hockey table came to us in 1999, and it is more than durable. We've had it for 20 years, but it is literally on its last legs. We have held off requesting this for years because, quite frankly, it was clunky and kind of old, but it still worked. And our attitude was, if it's still working, we don't need to go get something new. Holly, we need a new hockey table. So that's a clear list. All right, that's a request of 900. The 1405 for the concrete ladder toss. If you remember, we are building the outside part of the building closest to the parking lot as permanent outdoor. It's pretty much the rage in a lot of parks and everything across the country now. So over the course of years, we have built a permanent ping pong table. We have the Gaga pit. We have a permanent, I always forget the name of the game, Demi. Cornhole game. We have tether balls. So ladder ball is a big one. So we have portable ladder balls that we have to lug out every single time. We're looking to have a permanent one put in, which is a concrete ladder toss. Pretty impressive with a pad that you throw off of. And it's just really stable. The good thing about our stuff outside the building, obviously pre-pandemic, but it allowed people to use some of our stuff when we weren't really open, which was nice to see people on our campus, times when we weren't open or whatever. So that's at a cost of $1,405. Pickleball is the new rage, and it's not just people my age playing it. The kids want to play pickleball. We are looking for more activities with the pandemic where we can play outside. So we have demonstrated pickleball this fall. We have one pickleball court lined on our outside basketball court. We are looking to line 2 more and purchase 2 more packages of the pickleball. The interesting thing is the MIAA, which is the high school sports organization, is considering adding pickleball as a high school sport within 2 years. So I plan on having the best pickleball team in North Andover, and I expect D. Casey and I hosting the state championship of pickleball on the outside basketball court. So that's at a cost of $1,018. Volleyball is a great big sport here. It's probably the biggest sport that we have in the fall cohorts, and it's all girls. Volleyball is very popular in North Andover for girls, not as popular with boys. Unfortunately, I'd like to see the boys get it, but the girls, it's big time. So we sold this program out pretty much in a day, I think, Demi, or 2 days. And we're doing it outside on both of our beach volleyball as well as a portable one. So now the thing is, we will be having snow volleyball this winter, but we would like to purchase a legit volleyball net for our indoor gym. There has been a lot of requests over the years to actually have a volleyball net that was not a portable one. So this is, if you look at the cost, it's $4,000. This is a legit one that, won't be as nice as the high school varsity one, but pretty close. The second one, the next one at 5925 looks like a heavy item, but this is something that is being generated for years by our kids. Full disclosure, Holly knows that this was put on a previous grant maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was not considered a priority item at that point by that existing board. I think it is, and I have to be careful of being a basketball guy thinking this is self-serving, but the kids really want it. You need to understand basketball is not an approved sport right now due to COVID-19. We're hoping that it will be this winter. But the shooting machine allows kids to, have a machine that actually allows them to get up shots more. It's kind of the rage with kids. The kids have one at the high school, but can't have access to it unless the basketball team has access to it. So I'm putting this up again and gonna be speaking much more strongly about it this time to Holly's group because it is a must. It is something the kids really want. This is not driven by our staff. It is something that folds up and it gets out of the way. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So I think it can meet all of our basketball program needs as well as general use in the gym needs. And then the last one, and you saw Brian Fraser ask Demi this, is we need some upgrades for the AV. I'm going to turn this over to Demi, who's been the architect of this whole thing. But if you remember correctly, we put a big screen TV in the gym. We upgraded to have actually abilities to do things in the gym with this, and we have some outdated equipment, and we need to upgrade. So, Demi, you want to speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So the town's IT department originally helped us put this in probably, I would say maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And then most recent IT director, Chris McClure, has tried to help us with it the past few years. But really the problem is that the application that's used to raise and lower the projector and raise and lower the screen is basically obsolete. So we're not able to reliably lower the screen or lower the projector when we want to, or sometimes it comes down and then we can't get it to go back up, basically. So we haven't really been able to use it much over the past, probably about the last year. So Brian from CAM helped with contacting a new vendor who gave us this quote to basically rehaul the systems that we're able to use it successfully.
I think this is a necessity for us as early as the winter time. If this was to be approved by the Joseph N. Herman, I would probably be requesting to spend that money earlier because I think this is something we're going to need in the winter months as a gym activity. Obviously, the gym has a divider. We could actually have something going on with the projector. It helps with our trainings. In the point that we have to be a lot of social distancing now. It's nice to use the multi-purpose room, but if we're doing some training for 20 kids or whatever, it'd be much more social distancing to spread stuff out with this whole projection screen and everything else. So, all right, so there's a big chunk of that's $25,000 in requests. These are equipment. Before you ask me any questions, the upgrade in the gym would be a question I think someone would even ask here saying, well, is this something that falls in line with capital improvement for the youth center? It could, and I would not have a problem. I do want to let you know my capital improvement requests that are in and that will be going in for the next couple of years would not include AV upgrade in gym. I have a roof to worry about. I have HVACs to worry about. I have a plumbing problem to worry about. I have upgrades to areas like the bathrooms that would be much more of a priority for me in terms of capital improvement. And I think when the town looks at it, that would be a priority to them. So I look at this as, and I think the town would look at it as, could you live without the AV upgrade in the gym? Sure, we could. We could, refigure out doing some things. My personal thing is this is exactly why we go to the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center. This is something that is outside of that. So with that said, I'll take any questions on equipment requests.
My only questions would be, is some of the stuff enough? Is it enough Nintendo Switches? I mean, this to me is exactly what we should be spending money on, stuff that the kids want, the kids use. And there's no way the town is going to pay for Nintendo Switches, for example, which I think is great.
So my answer to you on that, Holly, and you've always been a big champion of spend more, spend more, spend more. My take is being a conservative person and running the youth center is I don't know if I want to go unlimited Nintendo Switches. I want to see how it goes. for the first year and see, hey, do we need more? Then I might come back to you and talk about that. But if Nintendo Switches go the way of Wii, which we ended up donating all of our stuff to the senior center, Wii, which was the rage, if you remember, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, we died a bad death for anybody under the age of 72. So I don't want to do that. I think it would be a waste of money. So my take is this is what I'm looking for first. And if it becomes the rage like Beats has, I'll be back again.
Yep. Nope, fair enough. But I think this is exactly the stuff that, I look to spend. And when, and it's the tangible stuff like the cornhole. When people say to me, where does it go to? Like not everybody sees the programming. And I say, look outside, and the guy got hit in the cornhole. And, so now to have the ladder toss, like that whole area with the picnic tables, I say, look at that whole area. So it's a great, selfishly from a fundraising standpoint, that I can point to tangible things. I can mention the programming, but they can see those things. So and the kids are always out there, in that area with cornhole and the ping pong table and all that stuff.
Rick, I'll just add on the AV request. I actually don't see that as a capital improvement thing. You've enacted a lot of new programming, particularly for some of the younger ages, getting some of our younger families into the youth center with some AV and some movie type stuff. So I actually do see that as a programming aspect.
Thank you. That's kind of how we look at it. Again, this would be something that would fall under a potential CIP. But as Dee can tell you, CIP is stretched out over a number of years. And this would not be, in my opinion, a priority considering, remember, the building's 20 years old now. So I'm coming to Dee and Melissa the last couple of years, and I will be coming regularly now. This is going to be an older building, and we're going to keep looking at bigger things that I think the town has to take care of. If there's no other questions, I'll go into the final part, which is our maintenance request. Now, the first one is something we have been doing since the Joseph N. Herman funded the grant. So this has become almost a carryover every year. It's the only one that is a carryover. I'm very proud that we have the best gym in the town. I'm very proud that because of the Joseph N. Herman, we are actually able to clean and redo our gym over every August to await the kids reopening in September. The cost is to basically sand down the floor and then to put on 2 coats of polyurethane and get us ready for the school year. We'll be putting that request in again. This got some conversation years ago saying, is this something the town should be doing? And basically I explained to them that the town would do this every 10 years. And that's not something that we want to continue to have the best looking building like we do with landscaping and everything else. We want to do this for very short money. So what we will be doing is every 10 to 12 years, we actually do a complete sanding of the floor. Demi and I have talked about that. That will next be done around the time we're looking to do the expansion and renovation of the youth center. So this kind of keeps us having the best gym floor, and it's obviously well received by everybody. The last one, and it is a big ticket item, and I need to kind of explain where this started from. So that we are looking to install a sprinkler system. We take very big pride in how our building looks inside and outside. Not to disrespect any of our municipal or school buildings, but nobody has a building that's kept up the way we have it kept up outside and inside. And a lot of that, I have an unbelievable 20-year debt to Downer Brother Landscaping, which does all of that for free. I have a debt to the beautification committee of Carolyn Williams and Mrs. Stevenson, who do all the flowers, maintain all of our things 3 seasons a year, as well as the ultimate ownership of our kids and staff that we want to make sure this looks good. Story that we had our exterminator in, and I don't want to get anybody nervous, but this time of year we have to worry about mice. So our exterminator was in, who had never been here before, and basically said, this building's amazing. Did you build it in the last couple of years? And I take a lot of pride in that a 20-year-old building looks the way it does. So the sprinkler system. This is an item that was put in 1999 as part of the portion that the Joseph N. Herman was going to turn over to the town. So if you remember correctly, the town gave $975,000 towards the building of $2.5 million. The Joseph N. Herman had to raise the rest of the money and then outfit everything to go into the building. So everything from desks, computers, to our outside landscaping or whatever. The sprinkler was on that request. Because we ran tight with money, we had to prioritize. And the sprinkler was the one and only thing that actually did not make the final cut. We then, obviously, Joseph N. Herman went on a sabbatical, so to speak, for about 8 years, not raising any money. And then obviously Holly and her predecessor have done a great job raising money for us. And we really would like to go back to having a sprinkler system. The sprinkler system would be for our outside front area, which don't let anybody pre-pandemic even walk on. The grass areas, obviously by the street, and the hill on the basketball court. If you looked at our grounds right now, you would say to me, you don't need a sprinkler system. It's, you know, with all the rain we've had. If you came here during the drought, during the summer, everything was burnt. And if it wasn't an extreme miracle by Chris Downer and Downer Landscaping to kind of work on all kinds of fertilization at no cost to us to keep it going. And Chris has basically said, over the years, I know money's tight, but you really got to take a look at having a sprinkler system to maintain that. So this is an item that I expect the Joseph N. Herman to have a number of questions to me. That's why I'm giving you the history of it now, and I give them the same history of it, because nobody on the Joseph N. Herman Youth Center was on the committee when that was actually decided. So I will have to give some history. So we truly want to put it in this grant. We also know that this might be an item that people might have questions about. So that is that thing. I'll take any questions on the two maintenance items, and then we can kind of wrap this up in terms of any final questions.
Any questions on the two maintenance items? Okay, not hearing any questions. Rick, I'll just comment that I believe it's this board's role to review these items and to make sure the items are being requested in good faith, and to give you in the Joseph N. Herman board the opportunity to discuss the items and weigh the necessary budgetary aspect. I feel very confident that you have done a very good job from both an equipment and a programming perspective, as well as the maintenance items. With regard to the maintenance items, we routinely have discussion over what is a capital expenditure that the town should be paying and what is a request for the Herman board. And as the former fields director for North Andover Soccer, I can tell you the expense of replanting grass that burns out from the summer, the expense of routinely fertilizing that to make up for lack of water, oftentimes outweighs the expense of a sprinkler system. So I would ask this board to take those items into consideration, that it is our role to take this request and view it in good faith and the responsibility that the items are being requested under good due diligence and a ton of forethought, and to give the Joseph N. Herman board the opportunity to have that dialogue with you. With that said, we have a couple of options here. We do need to take a vote on this, because I do need to give the Joseph N. Herman board notification. I can either entertain a motion to accept the grant proposal as is. I can entertain a motion to amend the proposal. So those are the options, but we do need to take a vote on this. And in lieu of the governor's orders, open meeting law, we cannot take an email vote. So if we don't take a vote on this today, we would need to schedule another meeting prior to Rick presenting this to the Joseph N. Herman Board. With that said, before I entertain a motion, are there any questions on the proposal as presented?
Andy, could you do something a little bit different because I think people in the past have missed this voting member and ask them if they have any questions by name?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with Dan Moore. Dan, do you have any questions?
Well, just one. If we go back to our annual fundraiser and say it raises 50 to 60,000 net a year, and that goes to the, Joseph Herman Trust, and then the youth center comes back every year and asks for these equipment, maintenance, etc. Requests, isn't it automatic that since the Herman Trust funds the youth center, it should be granted whatever we request?
So I'll take that, Rick, if you want. So what we do is we review it. There's many other financial obligations, if you will, that we have. So for example, we also give out $10,000 in scholarship money. So there are other monies that are spent. We also have money set aside for very large capital expenditures that may come. So for a while, as Rick said, he's worried about his roof. The town was not as supportive as they are now, and we feared the day that we would need to pay for a roof. We're also anticipating the expansion of the youth center, and that financial aid will be required from the Herman Board for that. So we've been putting that little nest egg away so that we can expand the youth center and anything that's needed to go in there. Because while the town may pay for the physical structure, as Rick said, desks, chairs, and other things, and obviously there'd be more programming. So we would be spending that. So it's not just an automatic, we raised 50,000, this grant is for 50,000, so it's a wash. There are other things that get funded from the youth center, from the Herman Board, like scholarships, and also ensuring that we have money set aside for other requests that may come in from Rick outside of this specific grant. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I will add one other thing, Dan, and Holly has been one of the most outspoken people on this, is in the early years, we didn't do as well as we've been doing with the auction. We also have a good chunk of money that the Joseph N. Herman has as a nest egg for all of the things that Holly just mentioned. But the other thing is I do want to tell this council that the present board has been amazing in terms saying to me, come with us at more request money. We used to, ask for like 25 to 30,000, and then it was 30 to 35. And even last year, they were saying, come at us more. Now, they don't want me to come in for $100,000 request, but they have been very gracious in that whole thing. And when I finish up today, I do want to talk to you quickly about the expansion stuff, but I would say that Joseph N. Herman has been very fair. And I would actually say that every year we have very little that's not approved by the Joseph N. Herman.
So if you had one thing on this request list that you could understand it being declined, would it be the sprinkler system? Would it be anything else?
It would, because my personal opinion is we have been dealing with the problem for a while. We can deal with it. I would not want to cut out a program. I would not want to cut out equipment for that. I just believe that it is something that's doable for them financially, and I do think it's got its merits on that. And you got to remember, Demi and I, struggled with, even putting it forward because of the reception. Now, I can argue this, and I can defend it very well, but I do know it's one that people would say, if you're raising money and you're putting a sprinkler system in, is that something the town should be doing? And I'll be honest with you, that the town's not going to put a sprinkler system in the youth center with all the other stuff we've got going on right now. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Dan, I'll also say that the total amount requested is in line with the last 2 to 3 years, which is a much higher amount than we've seen in the past. Any other questions, Dan?
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. John?
No question. Nicely done, Rick.
Thank you, John.
Jenna, any questions from you?
No questions. But
Perfect. How about Larry Allen? Okay, I see Larry shaking his head no. Terry?
No, well, I'd like to answer it with a little bit of a story here. And so I'm not even sure it's the right time, but I'm going to say it now anyway. But back in 1988, the selectmen probably made the best decision this town has ever seen made. That's when they hired Rick Gorman. And when they hired him, nobody thought he was going to make it here. They just he was walking around an empty building and trying to figure out what to do. He found a way to build a youth center. I don't know how he did that, because when he started the fundraising, I sat with him in a trailer looking at him like, this guy's got a dream that I just don't think is going to happen. But he just stayed with it and eventually built it. And as Rick said today, nobody's kept the building more beautiful. You know, I think he worked so hard to build it, he can't see it fall. After he did that so well, they gave him things like Stevie's Pond, which was being run at a level we've never seen when I was around. The skate program, everything's just gotten better and better, right? So now we get this crazy year of 2020 where nobody knows what to do, but he does. And he runs a program that blows everybody away. And again, he's there for the kids. It's all about the kids, our kids. And, so I'll leave you with this. When I was starting one of my first programs, and I was taking over for Joe Walsh, who was a good friend of Rick's and mine. And Joe said to me, Terry, if you can run this thing and make a difference in one kid's life, you've done an amazing job. Well, I'm going to tell you, I could not count the number of kids that Rick and his staff have changed lives. So with that, anything Rick requests from me, I will do. That's it.
Thanks, Terry.
Well,
I'm gonna
well
cry.
said, Terry.
Very nice. Very good.
Holly, I'm not sure how you follow that, but
I know, right? I feel the
anything-
pressure. But it's also true. I mean, it's also true. And I'm not gonna laugh. I did chuckle about the front lawn because Luke said he saw somebody in the front lawn the other day, and he's like, "Mom, they were on the lawn," and everyone knows you don't step on the lawn at the youth center. So you have it definitely embedded in the kids. I do have two quick questions. They're more to just make sure that you have the funding that you need, Rick, and that is for the holiday drive. Because I know we're anticipating a larger holiday drive. I don't know if it falls under here, or if it just goes directly to Herman, so excuse my ignorance on that, but asking for funding for the holiday drive, for money
Well,
for
we
that,
won't-
and then sorry.
Let me finish that. We won't be asking Joseph and Herman. What we are asking the Joseph and Herman is to kind of help us with the distribution of the money. So when the Boosters Club donated $500, when the school donated $400, it was actually donated to the Joseph and Herman Youth Center.
Yeah.
So they could in turn do it. If we had gone through the town, it's just a long process. The town would have to accept the donation. Selectmen would have to approve it. Then it would have to be, it's a whole process of purchasing the stuff. It just makes it easier. It goes through the Joseph and Herman. So obviously we're very appreciative of that. The open door policy with the Joseph and Herman, and we've taken advantage of it once, was that if we came up short as we got to Thanksgiving or Christmas, that you would take an emergency vote to appropriate extra money. I take pride that we've only had to do that once. And I also know that if we have to, we will do that. You need to understand, and I think everybody on this probably understands this. This town has really rallied around what's happened in the pandemic. When I put the call out, and Molly and Asia put the call out to try to get more sponsors, the reception has been great. Whatever you need, what do you guys need us to do? I do think that has a lot to do with people's willingness to help. I think it also has to do with what we pulled off this summer. And not that I'm taking advantage of our success this summer or fall, but I think that's what people are looking at. You did for us, we're going to do for you.
Nope, again, I just want to make sure that, and I know we would take an emergency and it wouldn't be an issue, just making sure that you have enough funds. And the other thing that's been on here in the past is training for your staff. Do we, again, I'll make a motion to approve it as is. I have no problem with that. I mean, I know I abstain, but I have no issues with anything here, but just, I know in the past we've had training on there to make sure you guys have the best training possible. Is that
So
something-
what we've been able to do through the support of Melissa and Dee, we do have a line item for that, which we didn't have before. And we're very proud. Dee has hooked up, Beans is going to be going, Kyle is going to be going to a training run with other people from our town, which will be a real leadership program for him. We've been able to send Lauren to adventure-based training. We've been able to send Asia with some things. So how I would do it is we will expend what the town did, because that's our role, right? Spend the line item. If we ended up coming up with something else, it would be a separate request to you guys, which we've done in the past. But I'm hoping we don't have to do that. I think the town has showed a great support, and Dee's probably the biggest champion of this, of training. And it's been something that fell on deaf ears for me 10 years ago when I said to people, like, how do you expect my staff to get better if we don't continue training them? And, that goes from me all the way down. And I think Dee's office, as well as HR, has done a great job of providing a lot of online training, a lot of webinars that our people have taken care of. So I'm pretty comfortable where we are with that.
Okay, again, I just want to, make sure you guys have all the funding you guys need, that's all. So that was it. Other than that, I think it looks great.
Thank you, Holly. Dee, I do want to open up if you had any comments or questions. You're welcome to opine if you'd like.
No questions. Just comment that one of the questions I think was about capital. So the capital is, we have kind of a threshold of $20,000 and up, and like a 10-year lifespan. So when Rick puts in capital requests, that's kind of like the guideline that we go by. So anything under that, we would probably encourage to be under the operating budget.
Perfect. Thank you, Dee. Did I miss, before I call for a motion, did I miss anyone, or are there any other comments or questions? So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion that we accept and vote on the grant proposal as presented and discussed.
Andy, this is Jonathan. I make a motion to accept the grant proposal as presented and as discussed during this meeting.
Do I have a second?
Here, seconded. Dan Moore.
Who was that, Dan? Okay, thanks, Dan. I don't think we need any more discussion, but I'll open it up briefly for discussion. Okay, I will take a roll call vote on this. Dan Moore?
Approve.
Okay, John?
Approved.
Holly?
Abstain.
Jenna?
Approved.
Larry? Okay, I see Larry shaking his head yes in the affirmative. Terry Holland?
I approve.
And Andy Furman, approve as well. So the motion passes. Rick, I know you mentioned you wanted to discuss briefly the expansion project. While it is not on the agenda, we did mention it numerous times, so I do think it's prudent and acceptable. I'll allow the discussion.
Just a quick update. We'll spend more time in subsequent meetings going. So I'm very happy that Melissa and Dee revisited that. Obviously we are part of the long range plan, which is called 2. And reality is that we are still on course for fiscal year 23-24 to have an expansion of the youth center. We have had ideas of what we wanted to do. The next step is Peter Breen representing this board and as the building subcommittee person, along with our facilities person, Steve Foster, who ironically was on the building committee of the youth center 20 years ago. They actually had a very funny line. Peter Breen said, "Steve, this is just like 20 years ago, except my hair's gray and you don't have hair." We basically met with the town's architects that are looking at design for this whole overall plan. We met 2 weeks ago to go over where it would be extended off the building, off the weight room / multi-purpose room, leading out the back towards the street hockey rink. It would be 2 floors attached to the existing building, so no need for a new elevator or stairwell. It would encompass an expanded game room. It would encompass a new activity room. It would encompass the 3 rooms that we've been trying to find a space for, and that's the academic room, the music room, and the art room. So it would incorporate us having space and storage for those programs that we would like to take to a whole different level. Again, all the rooms can be used, with the exception of the game room, can be used for multi-use anyways, but those would be the focus of it. We are at the next step that they're trying to get CAD drawings from BH&A, which was the architects that designed this building in late 1990s and when we opened in 2000. And they're going to start to put some rough estimates of what this would look like. Obviously need to talk to the town about what costs would be like. So we are going to be having that information in the next couple of months. I need to present this also to the Joseph N. Herman. As we talked about a few minutes ago, the Joseph N. Herman will be partnering once again. What I see is, and this is very preliminary discussion, is that the town would probably, as part of the expansion, pay for the actual expansion of the building. And we would be talking to the Joseph N. Herman about the renovation of the existing building, such as doing the gym floor over, such as, remodeling some rooms, new paint job. The whole goal would be to have a brand new youth center at that point in time, as well as some outfitting of costs. So Holly's committee has met with me a number of times. They are aware that we are going to be probably seeking a substantial grant for this project. And that's one of the reasons that Holly said that they do have some good money in the bank, but it was for this day. This was for 2 things. If we ever had the doomsday theory that the town didn't fund the youth center anymore, which I think we're well beyond that issue, or the fact that would Rick ever want to extend the building, expand the building, renovate the building, and the need is there. We've showed the need over the last few years. And I'm happy to say that our previous town manager supported it, and our present town manager has continued that. Obviously, we're getting into some crazy financial times within the world in this country, so we'll see how this all shakes out. But I want to keep moving forward on the original plan. So I will keep everybody a month. This will be a agenda item every month going forward, Andy. Just an update by myself or Peter. And at some point, I see Dee and Melissa being on a meeting with us about this as we proceed more.
Okay. Rick, I don't think I'm going to entertain questions on that, given the time and length of the meeting, and that it was not an agenda item. But we will include it as an agenda item for our next meeting, which, given the holidays and the timing, we've decided not to have a November meeting. Instead, we're going to have a meeting in mid-December. December 17th will be our next meeting. So if there's any questions or comments or thoughts on the expansion at this time from this board, I think the December 17th meeting is a more appropriate time to bring it.
Yeah, and I won't be getting too much information from the architects before that date, Andy.
Perfect. Awesome. At this point, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
That took longer than I thought. Seconded?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, seeing no one opposed. Everyone have a good meeting. Meeting's adjourned 9:25. Thank you.